So, if there's one thing that 2020 has taught me, it's that life is absolutely fucked. Okay, but for real though, guys, let's dive right into this. So basically, there's three big things I learned in the entirety of 2020 so far, and one of them is expect the unexpected. I know there's a lot that's going on in this world right now. We didn't expect to get hit with a recession this year, or coronavirus, or have the public reaction that we did to everything, the riots. I mean, obviously this year has kind of been a shit show from start to finish, to be completely honest. It started off like, yeah, really promising, and then quickly just kind of like went downhill. But more specifically though, it really taught me that you really have to expect the unexpected, because yes, there's a lot going on in the world so far. However, outside of that, there's a lot that happened in my personal life as well this year, on top of everything that kind of hit me really hard. I mean, on top of my relationships, on top of financial issues, a new job, many other things happening, I just really taught me to expect the unexpected and welcome change, and never to get too comfortable, honestly. Because once you do get too comfortable, then you get a little bit complacent. There's been many times in the past where I've had like jobs, and I've been too comfortable to want to honestly have change. I would convince myself why I like the place so much and why I don't want to do anything different, when every single time I would go like home and also praise the fact that I'm home and I'm not in that environment anymore, which contradicts itself in that mentality, honestly. And you know, one of my last jobs also shut down completely. Somehow I had like the best timing ever, where I put my 2-week notice in, and the last day of that 2-week notice, the entire establishment shut down, unfortunately. And for me, I was in a good spot, obviously, because I was moving to a new restaurant, because I've been serving for the last few years of my life. And you know, like for me, even though I was being in a good spot, there was a lot of pain watching all of my other coworkers and people I've like grown around for the last not the last 2 years from that point, but the last 2 years from the point of which I put my 2-week notice in. They were suddenly all just unemployed. You know, I grew with them. They were cool people. We hung out, but now everyone was stressing out. It was honestly really depressing to see, especially just such a sudden change, just come on in just like that, you know? And then that's kind of like how the year ended off, basically. And then suddenly this year, you know, there was a lot more just unexpected change that suddenly hit you, and it really just showed me to be like, wow, like, you know, always be prepared for the worst. Sometimes you don't ever expect it, and the worst can always hit you. You know, like the best analogy I like to give to people when it comes to taking risks is that you can always feel the level of bad, and it can always come and hit you whether you decide to take a risk or not, but you will never feel that level of good and fulfillment unless you have taken that risk. And that's kind of like how I like to describe the whole expect the unexpected thing, because that's all you can do, you know, plan for the worst, like expect that anything can happen. I mean, I also didn't expect one of my close friends to commit suicide as well. And yeah, there's just a lot that like this year has taught me overall, you know, like life kind of just happens, and there's nothing you can do to really like work around that. And it's really unfortunate when things do play out that way, but you never really know. You can't get like too comfortable in like one spot and then just expect everything to go smoothly. There's a lot that can hit you at once, and if you're just always, you know, trying to stay in the safe zone, not doing anything, not following your dreams or doing anything, and expecting life to just go smoothly and to be fulfilled and not get hit with any negative energy, then, you know, that's just flat out like incorrect. It's gonna happen. It's gonna hit like people. There's always something unexpected that will come your way, and this year on a massive scale has shown that. However, I was trying to dive into that more personally, because we all know what's going on with the world. This video is not going to, you know, tell you guys anything new by just going over the glaring facts of society right now. I mean, we got riots, we had the coronavirus, we had like a lot of ridiculous things. It's really whatever, but it can get more personal than that when it comes to just unexpected things hitting you. And on that note, I mentioned comfort a lot there. So that's another thing I learned this year. In order to succeed, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That is something that I have like also learned as well. It's easy to stay in your comfort zone. Okay, so when you stay in your comfort zone, it kind of restricts you a lot in life. And it doesn't really prepare you for anything like regarding anxiety or just any event like the unexpected events hitting you as well. And you get really complacent, you get really unfulfilled. Like I just said in for the first point, I was just way too comfortable at like my own places, but like I would convince myself that I'm fine in this moment, you know, I should allow myself to rest, I shouldn't be pursuing what I want to pursue, so on and so forth. And that was just me being way too comfortable and not wanting, I guess it was like a hidden fear of not wanting to actually be uncomfortable. And the more situations, you put yourself in that are uncomfortable, you're going to learn to be more comfortable in those situations as well. And that's where confidence comes, because I did explain in one of my previous videos as well, it's about my calisthenics video, that confidence comes from action, and that's the only way you can possibly get it. Like, I have seen so many people beat around the bush and try to fix themselves, try to do everything they could possibly do while they're comfortable and avoid putting themselves in discomfort, and that's just impossible. And if you want to succeed in life, you have to be uncomfortable. I mean, the best things come from being uncomfortable. I mean, look at all your friends too. I'm sure whoever is watching this knows somebody that's in like a 5-year long relationship, a marriage, or a lifelong one. That's a risk there. In order to take that risk, you have to ask that person out, and you have to be uncomfortable with that. And if you're not going to allow yourself to be in that uncomfortable situation of asking, the important questions and the important discussions, then that relationship would have never happened. And that's a pretty good point, because that's one common standoff where we can also, everyone can get that. Everyone like understands, I mean, it's a simple thing, but that can also be applied to literally any situation, whether it's business, whether it's a life thing, whether it's anything really. And definitely put yourself out there and don't be uncomfortable. At the end of the day, you're your own resistance, and it's really difficult to accept that and to honestly understand that until you like realize that you can also be an obstacle to yourself and stunt your own growth as well. Or just in any field, whether it's like not self-improvement, that's basically what can happen. And the last point I would like to go over with you guys, that I personally learned during this whole year, is that money can always be made, but memories and time are the only things you can't get back. So I know a lot of people have that mentality, and it causes a lot of irresponsibility with that being said, because you can convince yourself to spend more than like you really need. However, for the last 3-ish years of my life, I saved 33% of my tip out every single day. I kept that like sacred, stuck in my savings account. I never touched it. If I wanted to go on a vacation or trip, it would be like, all right, I'm making more money before I touch my savings fund to, I guess, go on this trip or to like buy that new thing I really want to buy, or whatever it may be, anything. And yeah, so I put a lot of emphasis on saving money. I didn't really allow myself to have fun too much, and I don't regret any of it. It was like I learned a lot about myself in that time. I still had fun with the amount of money I was allowing myself to spend. I didn't really struggle too much, so it was all perfectly fine. However, I was really valuing money a lot, like the detachment to just saving money instead of learning how to make money, and understanding that like no one is restricted to their income level and that money can always be made. There's people out there that have been poor most of their lives and suddenly become millionaires, and some people have done that and also lost it all and become millionaires again. Life is not this like linear path where you have to just save money and then save for retirement and then bam, you're set. There's a lot more to it than that. We live in an age where everything's way more creative these days, but at the end of the day though, you're not going to take any of the money to the grave, and it's always important to spend money on your passions and have fun while you're at it. Just be responsible too. It really, like, the change that sparked that was dumping my life savings into the stock market and 80% of it into Bitcoin as well. And yeah, it seems like a ballsy move, but during that time I was getting some unemployment pay, because this was during the quarantine, and when I was getting that pay, I basically use that to restore my savings fund. Emergency fund, not my savings fund. And yeah, so I pretty much restored that because I saved all that money. However, all the money I invested also grew, and I started investing into my Roth IRA as well. And that really like changed my entire view of money, especially someone like me who's trying to become an entrepreneur right now. Literally, money is just bullshit. Like, it's probably the best way I can describe it. I mean, I'll spend 3 years saving pretty much like $10,000, my life savings, right? Dump it into Bitcoin. I make half of that in like less than a month. And it's just, there's so many creative ways to make money, and just don't disregard the fact that you can always make money back, but be responsible with it. Just know that memories and time are the only two things that you can't really get back in this life. And that pretty much sums up like all of my points right there. Well, I guess the big lessons that I have learned throughout this year. There's more things that have hit me, there's more things I've learned, but it's more so personal growth rather than something specific to this year and events coinciding to this year that have taught me lessons. So I could say more, but those are 3 big things I feel like everybody could benefit from learning as well. And I mean, I don't know, this year's been weird. Like, we live in a weird time right now anyways. So I'm sure everybody has learned something, especially the first point I made. It doesn't take a genius to figure that part out, but sometimes you just get really comfortable and complacent. But hey, it happens. Anyways, though, thank you guys for tuning in. I really hope you all enjoyed this talk this evening. I've been really busy as of late right now, so this was a bit of a late upload, and I apologize for that. But hey, keep on watching. Slap that like button if you guys really enjoyed. God, I sound like Davey right now. Slap that like button. Like that like button. Just hit that like button if you enjoyed, or dislike if you didn't. You do you. And also subscribe if you want to see more, guys. Anyways, though, catch you guys in the next one. Shabam!